Good morning, everyone. This is a recap of the June 25th Board of Selectmen meeting. The meeting last night ran 3 hours long, which is why I'm doing this recap the next day because I just didn't have the energy to do it when I got home last night. The reason why the meeting last night ran so long was that we had a discussion about the Hill Bog project that took up about an hour and a half of the meeting. So there's no way I'm going to be able to recap 3 hours and 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is recap all the other parts of the meeting in this video and then do a separate video to update everyone on what we talked about for the Hill Bog project. So the first thing that we did at last night's meeting was reappoint Linda Peterson and Elizabeth Monks to 3-year terms on the advisory committee. The advisory committee right now has 3 openings. So if anyone in town is interested in getting involved, this is a great place for you to learn a lot about what goes on in all aspects of the town government. There is an application for the advisory committee on the town website, and it's a good idea maybe to attend a meeting or two first to get a better understanding of what they do. But definitely, if anyone is looking to get involved in Pembroke town government, consider maybe applying for one of the 3 openings on the advisory committee. Next, we had our first Pembroke Board Committee Collaboration meeting. So this is something I'm really excited about. This was something I had brought to the board a couple weeks ago in order to create a more collaborative environment between the various boards, committees, and commissions in town. So we invited the Commission on Disabilities to be our first guest at the Board of Selectmen meeting, just to update us on projects that they're working on, future projects that they have in mind, and let us know if there's anything that we as the Board of Selectmen can do to support them or assist them in any way. So we had 4 members from the Commission on Disabilities present last night. They talked about current projects, they talked about future projects and plans, and they updated us on what's going on generally with that commission. So one of the things I really want to point out is that for about 10 years, the Commission on Disabilities was pretty dormant. And over the course of the last year and a half, people have been working really hard to reinvigorate that committee. And in that year and a half, they've done a ton of great work. The thing that they are most focused on is creating better access, both physical access and communications access, for every resident in town. The Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, requires certain things to make facilities ADA compliant, and Pembroke has some work to do in that area. So the 2 big projects that they discussed last night was the Town Landing Beach project, where some beach mats were installed in order to create a more accessible area for every resident of town. And there's a mat that goes straight to the dock and a mat that goes over to the playground area, and that's phase 1 of the Town Landing Beach project that makes the Town Landing more ADA compliant and more user-friendly for every person in Pembroke. The other thing they talked about was the Veterans Memorial Park project. And this is a project to make Veterans Memorial Park, right in front of the First Church, ADA compliant. And in order to do that, there's going to be pathways essentially that connect all the memorials and monuments there on the First Church lawn with brick pathways instead of grass, because grass is not considered an ADA compliant surface. So one of the ways that that project is being funded is actually the Buy a Brick program. So residents of town can right now buy a brick that will be laid down in that pathway, and you can have the brick inscribed. My husband and I are definitely planning on participating in this project. And the resulting Veterans Memorial Park, this is a rendering of what it will look like in the end, and it will make it so that you can go from one end of the green to the other on an ADA compliant surface, and it will connect all those memorials and monuments there. This was something I was actually really excited about. The Commission on Disabilities has launched the Pembroke All Access newsletter, and it's going to be a quarterly publication. It'll be available in hard copy and also online, and it gives a ton of super important information about what the Commission is doing, their medical equipment program, Massachusetts Office on Disability News, and a lot of helpful resources and contact information. So I really encourage everybody in town to look this up online or to go grab a copy from Town Hall. The next thing that we did was we approved a door-to-door solicitation permit for Terminix for 90 days, and we also approved a permit request for an ice cream truck. So Pembroke is going to have an ice cream truck pending a Board of Health inspection. The ice cream truck will be running all over town from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. from now through the end of October. Then we went into the Hillbog update, and Hillbog update was what took up the bulk of the meeting, so I'll address that in a separate video. And then the last few items we took care of last night were to ratify a temporary trailer permit at 48 Keens Way, to appoint Becky Coletta from the Planning Board as the delegate to the OCPC, to reappoint the Council on Aging Director Susan Shea as the OCES representative, and then we voted to approve the minutes from May 21st, June 4th, and June 11th Board of Selectmen's meetings. We had the town manager's report, which did update 2 streets that are going to be paved by the DPW over the course of the next few months and I think year. High Street and Valley Street are the first 2 streets that will be milled and repaved, which is exciting news. And also the town manager reported that Pembroke has rejoined the South Shore Recycling Cooperative, which is made up of 15 communities on the South Shore. And one of the big perks about that is that in addition to Pembroke's Hazardous Waste Disposal Day, which takes place every spring, Pembroke residents will now have free access to hazardous waste disposal at 8 other community sites within the cooperative, which means that if you miss the one in Pembroke in the spring, you still have a place to dispose of hazardous waste. So those were the major items that we touched on other than the Hillbog update in last night's meeting. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this was a helpful update. Have a good day.